Congratulations to all our winners. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our last speaker for today. So I am also really excited to introduce Tammy Vavken-Hylton. Tammy is a California native. She graduated from Vanguard University with a bachelor's in sports science. She has her master's in organizational leadership from UMass Global. She is married to her wife, Toni. They have 5 kids, 2 dogs, and a cat. And Tammy is one of the co-founders of the LGBTQ+ Center of Riverside County, which she started with 3 other friends in 2018 to educate and advocate for the LGBTQ+ community while providing safe spaces for them. Please give a warm welcome to Tammy Vavken-Hylton.
Nobody ever says my name right, so please give her a round of applause for saying that. I'm going to put this little reminder up that this is a safe space. And so I'm going to put this right here. I promise it won't be a spot. All right. Which means we might be discussing some things that make some people uncomfortable, or it might be bringing up something that is unfamiliar, which could cause you to be uncomfortable. So I want to remind everyone that this is a safe space, which means it's okay if you don't know, and it's okay if you're not sure what we're talking about, and it's okay to ask questions at the end. So with that being said, I'm going to get us started. Oh, wow, they gave me a remote. Nobody told me I get gadgets. Which way do I go first?
The green button.
That makes sense.
Does it work?
Maybe. Do I have to point it somewhere?
No, it should be good.
All right. Oh, the big green button.
Yeah, the big.
I was hitting the small green button. All right. Hey-o. All right. So like Soraya said, we are the LGBTQ Center of Riverside County. And almost all of you are probably saying, what's that? Where is it? And so we started in 2018. We had an amazing 2019. And then what happened in 2020? They said, don't gather. Don't be socially together. And so we had a really interesting 2020, but we were able to grow and build our team. So we are an actual virtual center. We are hoping to have a physical center next year, which is looking better and better right now. I'm super excited. We offer different services and programs, some of them being education, like what we're doing today, advocacy, support groups, social activities. Some of our social activities, we do rent out a roller rink for our LGBTQ clubs, have them come together in a safe environment and be able to just be who they want to be out and about. We also do education for businesses, schools, basically whoever will have us, and just provide more information. We do training. We just talked about awareness is huge. A lot of people, I'm a foster parent, and I called my social worker when we first started our organization, and I said, hey, who can I talk to about LGBTQ foster kids? And she goes, I'm sorry, what? And I said, LGBTQ, like, that makes sense to me. I know what LGBTQ is because I'm part of the community. She goes, I don't know what that is. And I said, oh man, we got some work to do. So the fact that we need an LGBTQ center for the county was apparent right then and there, right when we started off trying to contact our allies and educate. So when I talk about awareness, it's everywhere. Parents, students, community leaders, pretty much anyone we can get a hold of and talk to. And then community partnerships. We have some partnerships with just CenterLink, which is a national LGBTQ centers nonprofit organization. And then they have different LGBTQ centers within the state of California that we partner with, and then try to go from there. I'm going to try my remote. Give me a round of applause, because it worked. I'm going to take this off, because I need to do that. All right. Let's see here. So our ultimate goal, which Soraya said earlier, is uniting communities and creating safe spaces where everyone belongs. And when I say everyone, that means allies, that means parents who don't identify as LGBTQ. It is okay. My son, my oldest son, who's 14, always wants to go, Mom, can I go with you? And I'm like, do you know what we're doing? Like, do you understand what I'm talking about? And you may not identify that way, and that's okay, but I want to make sure he understands. A safe space is everyone, even if you aren't identified as LGBTQ or all the other letters afterwards. That's okay. Just make sure that you're an ally. You're going to be kind to someone. So since I said the alphabet, some people don't know what that means, and I don't want to be ignorant, because I learned that the hard way. LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning. And the reason that I have a plus at the end, or the reason we have a plus at the end, is because there's additional letters. Pansexual, intersex. If anyone else wants to know one or say one, feel free. This is an open floor. But there are a lot more coming to the community because we don't want to just stop there. We don't want to say it's only if you're gay or lesbian. It's for everybody who maybe just identifies a little bit differently. Cool? This is a video.
Let's see what we can do, Tammy.
I'm looking forward to it.
I think I can make it work.
I love it already.
Explain the gender gap cookie. When you look around in this world, everyone seems to be a woman or a man. Well, what exactly does that mean, being a man or a woman? And what does it mean when people want to change their gender? Or when they dress like the opposite sex? And how about people that identify as neither male nor female? And when you are gay, does that change anything about your gender? To explain all of this, we need the help of the gender bread cookie. Before we start, it's essential to explain the difference between your sex and your gender. Sex is biologically determined and has everything to do with what's inside of your pants. It is often assumed that everyone is born either male or female, but what a lot of people don't know is that biological sex lies on a spectrum. Everyone who is not 100% male or female is called intersex. Now, what exactly is intersexuality? Approximately 1 in 3,000 babies is born with ambiguous genitals, which for example could look like this. In this case, doctors often can't determine immediately whether the baby is a boy or a girl. There are also other ways in which a person can be considered intersex. For example, through a difference in the level of your chromosomes, your gonads, or your hormones. So, what does the passport of an intersex person look like? In Belgium, it is, up to now, only possible to be legally registered as an M or an F. This means that there is no possibility for intersex people to have their biological sex recognized by the state, so people often have to choose the sex of the baby at birth. In the entire world, only 7 countries and 5 American states have some sort of legal recognition for intersexuality, which is not a lot. We covered sex, but what about gender? Your gender or gender identity denotes how you feel. A person can feel exclusively feminine or ultra-masculine, but this too lies on a spectrum. It is perfectly possible to feel a little bit more masculine than feminine, or the other way around. Some people feel both male and female, or neither, and just want to be themselves. To define these gender identities, a lot of complicated names exist, such as these ones. Each of these words describes a slightly different gender identity. However, this is not written in stone, and only you can decide which word fits you the best. When one's sex and gender identity align, for example, when you are born female and you feel like a woman, we call this person cisgender. However, when one's sex and gender identity do not correspond, we call this person transgender. We do not, however, use the word transsexual. Originally, this word was used to describe trans people who had undergone gender confirmation surgery, but nowadays this is considered outdated and sometimes even hurtful. Besides, not everyone who is transgender wants to have a surgery, of course. The third aspect of our gender is comprised of how we present ourselves to the outside world and of how others perceive us. We call this our gender expression. Just like the other aspects, your expression can also be female or male, or something in between. A person's gender expression exists of many layers. The most obvious one is, of course, the clothing you wear. Do you wear manly clothes or feminine clothes? However, also your haircut, the way you talk, the way you move, walk, or sit, the hobbies or interests you have, the books you read, the music you listen to, the movie genres you like, and even the drinks you order on a night out are gendered. So, basically everything. Important to remember here is that what is considered masculine or feminine is incredibly time and location bound. These ideas are not the same everywhere and at all times. A funny example are high heels. While the Western world now sees them as typically feminine footwear, in the Middle Ages it was completely normal for men to wear shoes like these. Now, what exactly is meant with transvestism? A transvestite is someone who takes on the stereotypical gender expression of the opposite sex. Here, for example, you see Lady Gaga, who takes on a male gender expression. Or the world-famous drag queen RuPaul, who takes on a female gender expression. It doesn't all have to be so binary. When someone doesn't limit themselves to the categories of man or woman and just mixes it all together, we use the word androgyny. A widely known example of a person with an androgynous gender expression is David Bowie. The fourth aspect of your gender has to do with who you are sexually or romantically attracted to. We call this your attraction. You can feel attracted to men or women. A person who likes people from the opposite gender is called heterosexual. A person who likes people from the same gender is called homosexual. You can also, of course, like both genders, which is then called bisexuality. Once again, it doesn't have to be so black and white. Human sexuality is considered to be fluid, which means that it is changeable throughout time and depends on the situation. You can, for example, feel incredibly attracted to men, but also a tiny bit to women. Or it could happen that even though you felt attracted to women your entire life, all of a sudden you fall in love with a man. Some people also identify as pansexual. In this case, your attraction is not confined within the borders of the binary gender spectrum, and you actually feel attracted to a person's personality rather than their sex. Another sexuality which falls outside of the spectrum is asexuality. Asexual people do not feel sexual attraction to others at all. This, however, does not mean that they do not long for a romantic relationship or affection, just no sex. Even though you cannot choose your sexuality, identity and labels seem to be very important to define one's attraction. Labels like gay and straight exist because a lot of people find comfort in the idea of belonging to a group and use these words as tools for explaining their identity to others. These labels are, however, not clearly defined. Which labels you choose to describe yourself and how you define them is highly personal and can never be wrong. After all, nobody knows you better than yourself. Moreover, you are not obligated to give yourself a label at all. As you see, your gender is a lot more complicated than what they expect from you at birth. The gender-bread cookie is not even complete. The construction of a person's gender is an incredibly complex process which involves psychology, biology, sociology, and so much more. Capturing this process in a small cookie would be very ambitious, but it's a start.
I think it's good that Christmas is coming so I can use a genderbread cookie. There was an option for a unicorn, which my daughters love, but I went with the genderbread. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, because I think what was important on that video is it says that we like to label things, but we don't need to label things. So I'm going to give you, it's easy to talk about myself, so I'm going to give you a couple of my labels and hope that this works out by going to the next screen. Which is not moving. Can you assist? Because that would be cool if I could phone a friend. I promise I'm hitting the right green button.
You are, just this computer doesn't like.
Oh, computers?
Yeah, that's how they roll.
People's best friend.
Look, here comes, here comes AC.
I'd like to phone a friend, please, for my final answer. I'll blame it on YouTube.
Try it again.
Try now?
There you go.
Perfect. So my labels are, my name is Tammy. The name is a label, right? Because that kind of assumes my identity or my gender. That was given to me at birth. I didn't change it. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. It's a very big thing right now to use pronouns, but to also identify or at least share what your pronouns are. This is a conversation at my house a lot. I have three 4-year-olds, and my boys are always like, "No, Mom, you're a boy." I'm like, I promise I'm a girl. And they're like, no, you're a boy. And I was like, I'm not even going to continue to have this discussion with you right now, but okay. But if he looks at my daughters or my wife, he's like, they're a girl, you're a boy. What do you think he's associating with me being a boy? The way I look, right? Someone said, so my haircut probably, yeah? And so, which my kids love my haircut, because they describe me as the mommy that has this hair. But that is stereotypical for a boy. And it's not like I told my kids that, but imagine as you grow up that people are associating you with the wrong gender. I'm very confident and I'm very comfortable with who I am, so I don't mind having the conversation with my kids or other kids. But to my kid, he sees other kids in school and says that you're a boy, and I have to explain to him, at least being open, that I am a girl. Another label is I'm a cisgender female, which means I was born with this body and I kept my body the way it is. I am a lesbian. I have a wife of 22 years. I have a mom of 5 kids. I did not birth a single one, neither did my wife. We adopted all of them. I'm a foster parent, which I shared earlier, so I have a lot of kids who come in and out of my house. I'm a student. I just finished my master's and I'm getting my PhD. Thank you. That's why I forgot my wallet. I'm broke. I'm a daughter. I have parents, and that defines me a lot because of who I am. I'll say that it wasn't easy growing up LGBTQ and in a home that wasn't accepting. And so I think me being a daughter to an unaccepting parent or parents when I was growing up made it a little bit harder for me as growing up. Imagine kids in your schools or kids that you work with who can't be confident and comfortable with who they are. That would not help them at all. So being a daughter is something that I rely heavily on to remember my experiences. I'm a sister with I have an older brother who is also non-accepting. And so that was another challenge. I knew I couldn't go to him for help or support. And so that is also, you may not have support from your parents, but you have no support from your siblings. Also makes it harder when you're going to school. I'm a manager for a company. I lead a nonprofit board. I'm a coach for some of my kids' teams, whether it's soccer or sitting the bench. And I'm an advocate for the LGBTQ youth and the community. The biggest thing that I do is I go out to high schools and I will talk to the GSAs. And if the teachers will have me, I'll go out and talk to the teachers. But my label isn't just that I'm gay or a homosexual or a lesbian. There's a lot more to it. And so I think, I'm jumping my gun here. Why does this matter is it's not just one label. We are a complex person, we do a lot, and so being identified by just one thing isn't fair until you get the whole picture. So I thought I'd provide a picture. Oh, there they are. That's my family. We are Disney people. Maybe I am and I make them all go. But I really enjoy making sure that our kids, no matter how they identify later in life or how they want to be, that they know that we're an inclusive home. And so whatever they want to talk about, we let them talk about. So enough about my family. Thanks for letting me put them in there. This is a quote by Laverne Cox. We are not what other people say we are. We are who we know ourselves to be, and we are what we love. Does anyone know who Laverne Cox is? Shout it out loud and proud. Sorry, an actress? Yes, actress, yes. She is a transgender, but she is probably one of the most vocal and the largest advocate for transgender community. Before that, I think it was kind of, we didn't really talk about it, or it wasn't really out and about. So the fact that she's been able to use her platform and be so open to who she is has allowed a lot more acceptance and awareness to the cause. There's more to each of us than our sexual and gender identity. All of this makes me who I am as a person. Our youth is just starting to identify who they are, let alone their sexual and gender identity. Imagine trying to also learn and go to school and make friends, and all that complicates things while you're trying to identify or figure out who you are. So I thought it was a really cool quote. This is from change.org, I believe. So I think the fact that we're talking about bullying this week is it's good to know that all youth, any youth, not just LGBTQ, all youth need support. They need guidance, right? They're learning, so they're going to be asking questions. They need to feel confident in who they are, no matter who they identify as. They need to feel accepted, right? I asked my son, my oldest son, I said, hey, I'm going to do a talk about bullying. What does it mean to be bullied? And he goes, oh, that just means they're jealous of you. I was like, I didn't even think of it that way. Like, that's a good perspective. Tell me a little bit more. He was bullied as a little bit younger kid. Ironically, that bully is now his best friend. But it was just trying to like get them to talk things out and kind of realize why they had that different feel or different view. And so I think acceptance is a huge thing, which leads to respect. Every kid, every person, screw kids, all people. All people need to feel respected, no matter how they identify. Specifically for LGBTQ youth, they are unique, and because they are a minority, and so they become a quick target for being bullied, because other people might not feel like it's safe. They might not feel comfortable with the topic. They may not know about it, and so that makes them a target for being bullied. I have some statistics, unfortunate statistics, however they are statistics from Gleason, which is the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network. Thank you for doing all that work, by the way. They have some statistics here conducted by them, and they found these results about the LGBTQ students in schools. 82% had problems during the previous year with bullying about sexual orientation. In order to find out someone's sexual orientation, you'd have to probably ask. So a lot of times this is assumed, or people think that this is what they know about the person. There's no way anyone would know unless you told them. And so a lot of times these are things that are made up, or things that people are implying because of how they might dress, or how they might look, or how they might talk, or who their best friend is. 44% experienced physical harassment, which is why it's so important for schools to have a safe space, to have someplace they know they can go where they won't be bullied or they won't be physically harassed. 64% felt unsafe at school due to sexual orientation. Again, unsafe. Imagine trying to learn and trying to put your best foot forward for how you're going to show that you've been listening and paying attention if you're worried that once the bell rings, you're not sure what's going to happen. So again, I can't stress it enough, having a safe space for our teachers and educators to provide that space for our kids. 22% experienced stronger violence. 44% felt unsafe at school due to gender identification. This is a big one. 61% never reported the attacks. And the reason they're probably not reporting it is because they don't feel like either A, anything is going to happen, or B, they don't want people to know that they're being bullied because what people are saying may be true. And so 61% of the people don't ever say anything, which is really sad. And we need to be able to provide a safer environment. 32% did not go to school for at least one day because of feeling unsafe. I'll guarantee that number is higher, but on the majority, at least one day was missed. So imagine trying to learn, trying to create a better life, getting your education so you can go on and move out of that house that might not be safe. If you're missing school, you're not going to be able to do as well. So having those allies, knowing that someone's going to be there, just one adult in a kid's life will help them feel safe. Even if they're on the other side of the campus, it'll still help them feel safe. 31% said that school made no effort to respond, and that's of the people who did report it. So remember, 61% said they didn't report it, which if we can do quick math, it's like 39%, and only 31% of those actually did report something. So the odds aren't in their favor, which we are here to explore. So I'm going to give some what can we do's to make it a safe environment. Oh, I'm going the wrong way on my shot, sorry. So school-based strategies. Hey, it's the other side. To minimize or prevent anti-gay bullying in schools. Comprehensive bullying and harassment policies. I hope this has been talked about before, but sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression should be explicitly included in the school's anti-bullying policies. This might bring up uncomfortable terms for administrators or educators who maybe can't align with this. That's why it needs to be covered in the beginning, at the beginning of the school year, and revisited each year. Although a teacher may have been at that school for 10, 15 years, they should still be informed of this, especially if it's new. Inclusive curriculum. Does anyone know when Pride Month is for the LGBTQ? June. Yes, thank you. When does school get out? June. Yeah, right? So rain on my parade. Typically, schools get out, my kids get out in May, so they don't even get that opportunity to celebrate in school or talk about. There's other times throughout the year to talk about this, so try and be inclusive and think of ideas or ways to bring this into the curriculum. But if school gets out in the first 2 weeks of June, figure out a way to be able to celebrate the LGBT community and have a pride festival or something to be inclusive and really give them that send-off to summer with hope and excitement. So inclusive curriculum is positive representation of LGBTQ people, and their achievements throughout history should be incorporated in school curriculum. I believe right now in our House of Representatives and in our Senate, we have the most number of LGBTQ serving, which is huge because that was never really a topic before. It was never even celebrated or discussed. And so I know for me, the idea of being, I'll cautiously say, a politician, it wasn't an idea because I couldn't see it. It was never brought up when I was a kid. So I think the fact that we have that many people in the House of Representatives and the Senate is very supportive, and I think it's a good thing. Doesn't mean I agree with everything, but it's a good thing. Supportive educators, I talked about this just a minute ago. LGBTQ youth should have knowledge of and access to at least one supportive adult in the school. This is going to be my next one, which is the Gay Straight Alliance, but you can put these up in the cafeteria. You can put these up in your teachers' rooms who know what it means to provide a safe space, so that if someone's being bullied and they don't have to run to the other side of campus, they can go into the closest room that has one of these on the outside. That allows them, plus imagine just being able to see more signs saying it's safe. That brings up more awareness and more inclusion with the rest of the population. A Gay Straight Alliance, a GSA. Does anyone have a GSA or know what a GSA is at their schools? Yes? Okay, cool. Awesome. Student-run clubs in high schools or middle schools that bring together LGBTQ and straight students to support each other, provide a safe place to socialize, and create a forum for activism to fight homophobia and transphobia. Gay Straight Alliances are kind of evolving, and they're calling them Gender Sexuality Alliance, just to kind of change with the times. Either way, the goal is that a lot of the schools that I meet with, they have a lunch once a week. So out of the 5 days a week they go to school, they meet with a teacher who says they'll support the group. And then they allow the kids to eat in the room, and they talk about different things in the community or events that might be happening. Most kids, I'm from Riverside County, which is where we're at, most kids aren't out at home because their parents won't accept them, which means that it's already hard to go home. And so that one day at lunch when they can go and really be excited of who they are and celebrate that, gives them that hope to make it through the rest of the week to come back next week. Again, I shared that I was at a home that was not supportive of LGBTQ. I struggled with suicide and some other issues, and that was hard. And so being able to get through that when I talk to kids is letting them know it gets better. And that's probably one of my favorite organizations called It Gets Better Project, who talks to kids about, hey, it's okay if you can make it through this, it'll get better. And once you get out of that house or once you get out of that environment, it'll be better for you to live the life that you want to live. So those are our 4 tips. I'm going to go to something that I brought, which is the safe zone. Does anyone know what the pink, blue, and white means on the top A? Trans? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, by the way, for saying that. Transgender. And so that is one of the largest things that we're seeing right now in our GSAs is that a lot of kids feel transgender, but they are not out to their parents, and they can't be the male or female that they feel most confident in. Or they can't grow the hair they want to grow, or the clothes they want to wear. And so transgender is probably one of the biggest growing awarenesses that we're having in education for parents. Having a sign, I have some pins, we have stickers, but just trying to let people know like how to be an ally. And an ally is someone who's going to stick up for someone or have that presence to be able to say, hey, I'm going to be here for you. Doesn't mean you're gay, doesn't mean anything else other than I'm going to support you. So we can put these up in the schools. That will definitely help. Oh, good, I did add this. So next steps is being a visible ally. Putting this up in a classroom, putting it up in your office if you're a counselor, putting that in your lobby so that the kid knows, oh, it's going to be okay. They understand where I'm coming from. That'll be a sign of relief and a sign of encouragement and hope. Supporting students who come to you. This is an interesting one because I think when students don't know who they can go to. And so by having a poster, a sticker, a button, something like that saying that you're an ally will allow these kids to know it's okay, I can share a feeling that I'm having or an experience that I'm having, whether it's physically or emotional. Respond to anti-LGBT language and behaviors. If you hear something, see something, say something. This is a big thing. Stand up for those that don't have that privilege or that ability to say something because they're worried. And then the last one is support student clubs, such as Gay Straight Alliance or the Gender Sexuality Alliance. Some schools don't have it. When you talk to administrators, they say, what is that? I have no idea. Do we have that? That doesn't spread a good message to the kids saying that, hey, we have this, and yes, I know who runs it, and I know who's in the club. There's a lot of clubs in high schools and middle schools. Having one and saying that it's there will definitely support the kids to feel a lot more confident and more accepted and respected. I did put some resources together. I put obviously our center up there, the LGBTQ Center of Riverside County. These are local resources. Rainbow Pride Youth Alliance, they have been around a lot longer than we have. They have virtual events, game nights, book club, just different ways for kids to get together virtually as well. Due to the pandemic, they're still doing everything virtually. And I think it's really cool that they provide a different outlet for kids other than just physical social events. And then Pflag, has anyone ever heard of Pflag? Yeah, what is it?
Parents of family.
Yes, of lesbians and gays, perfect, thank you. Temecula, I'm from way down that way. They have one of the only groups that allow kids 12 and older to come to. So Pflag is intended for parents and family members of lesbians and gays to learn more and to be able to have that safe environment to ask questions. What Pflag Temecula has done is they have a place for kids to come as well. So while the parents are learning and exploring and understanding, the kids have a place to kind of meet up and talk to one another and figure out what they'd like to learn or what they want to express or what they may be frustrated about. Perfect. And then I'm going to get on to some national resources. We talked about the Gay Straight Alliance Network. If your school doesn't have one, they can register, and then they give you things that you can talk about or things to know or curriculum to present in the school. A lot of times when I go to GSAs, they're like, yep, we have a club and it's cool and we hang out. But then how are they able to use that to help them become more educated? How are they able to use that to advocate for themselves? And so if they register, that GSA network will send them information, and they have different signs and ways to help students and teachers understand more. I also used some information from the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network that has also been around since about 1980, and they help teachers specifically learn how to better incorporate and provide safe education curriculum. The Trevor Project, has anyone ever heard of the Trevor Project? Yeah, do you mind telling me what it is? If I can put...
It's an LGBTQ+ suicide hotline.
Yes, LGBTQ are at a much higher risk of suicide, especially when they don't have any support. And so the Trevor Project does a great job of making sure that that is a known resource for them. Again, if they don't feel supported, if they don't feel accepted, if they don't feel respected, suicide is, that looks super good. For me, that was a great way for me to try and not feel all those things. And so the Trevor Project is a great organization to let people know about. I think another cool thing about the Trevor Project that I just recently found out, they have a call line, they have a text line, but when you visit their website, it blocks it so that if your parents go and look up your website search history, you won't be able to see it. So that if they're worried about being out at home, they don't have to worry about their parents knowing that they feel these things, even though they should tell their parents, but there might be a reason they're not telling their parents because they don't feel safe.
And that is, it is 24/7.
Thank you, yeah.
Reference that.
Yeah, which is great. It gets better. I talked about this one briefly. I think the reason I struggled with suicide as a teen is I was like, man, I'm never going to get out of here. I'm never going to be able to be my own individual. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, whether that was at the end of high school or at the end of college. And I think what it does is it provides hope. It's people telling their story of what they experienced. And I know if I would have heard about that when I was a kid, I'd be like, oh, okay, other people are like me. They're having the same struggles, but it does get better. And so if you can really make it through to adulthood, you don't really be talking about an adult at 18. But if you can make it through and then be able to know that you can go someplace where you can be accepted and feel confident in who you are. We talked about Pflag, that is a national organization. And then HRC is the Human Rights Campaign. There was one more that I put, but I don't, no, that was it, sorry. Lambada Legal, if you have any kids who are having problems at school and they need to take it even further with legal help or counsel, that is another organization that will help out as well. And that was all I had. She said I could take questions. I was like, I don't want to. I'm just kidding. Yes, ma'am.
Tammy, I'm on the board of True Evolution here
Oh, yeah.
at Riverside.
Congratulations on your newest grant.
Thank you.
Very well needed.
I want to thank you for being here. Unfortunately, we lost a kiddo, 16 years old. He committed suicide, and it just, we can't get enough of your stories and everything you have to share. It would be wonderful to see a sign like this in everyone's classroom,
Yeah.
in every administrator. And I'm honored, just honored to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you do. Hello.
I was wondering if you had some beautiful pins.
Possibly. We're not sure because we typically try to take a donation for those. So I do have some stickers in the back, which are my favorites. Because it says, I have one sticker that says we're all human, because I think that's like the simplest truth is we're all human, and you don't have to judge me, or you may not like me, or you may love me, but we're all human, so let's just try to get along. But we do have some stickers in the back, which I'd be more than happy. And then our website, we do obviously take donations for additional stuff. Yes? For these? My goal was to bring some, but I thought I was going to be here tomorrow. So I'm here today. I'm not prepared, but you guys are going to be here tomorrow? No? Oh, well then I'm glad I came today.
We'll make sure they get distributed.
Yeah, we'll make sure they get out.
We'll try and get some, absolutely. Yes?
The HRC also has a really good conference for students, and it's virtual, and most of the time it's any educator actually, or anybody can apply and get their registration waived. So if you want to check it out, it's a really good
Leadership conference
yeah,
for
and
students.
it's actually ran by one of the former counselors. So.
Nice. If I can put a plug in, It Gets Better Project just announced that they are releasing 50 grants for 50 states for $10,000 each to raise awareness for the LGBTQ youth, which I was like, dude, tell them on GSAs, this is super exciting. I don't know what I would do with $10,000. I would do all sorts of rainbows everywhere. But my daughter says my favorite color is a rainbow. I'm like, perfect, you know me so well. Yes, ma'am.
So since you're putting it up,
Yeah.
if you're a CTA member, we have the J. de la Rosa Scholarship Grant, and it's specifically for GSA type activities, like if you want to get books. So at our school, I got I think it was $1,400
Nice.
to start our GSA class. So and if you're a CTA member, you can apply. We never have enough people apply, so please apply.
You'll have to remind me, because I did hear about that in 2019, and to be honest, I totally forgot about it. So thank you. I'll try and connect with you afterwards. Did you have something?
I have, yes, I need your advice. So I'm a school administrator at an elementary school. When we bring up the topic of identity, they automatically go into sexuality. So parents freak out. They don't want it to be discussed around their kids because automatically we're introducing them to sexuality. Like, can we talk about that and how to approach that? I love the gender-bread concept because that's very clear. But how do I approach these parents that are like,
So Pflag has another, they have just a sheet of paper that they kind of share about this to kind of cover with parents. The gender unicorn is another one that kind of comes up. there are some things that I might not include for younger kids. But I think it's important for kids to know that they can express themselves differently. My youngest son always wants to wear my daughter's dresses and be a princess. And my wife is like, oh, don't let him do that. And I'm like, why not? He thinks it's fun. Like, let him do it. That's okay. You have twice as many clothes to choose from. Now you feel comfortable. But he just wants to explore. And at that age, it's more about exploring and kind of figuring out what you like. That's a good question. I would say I would minimize like the complexity to it and just be like, it's okay to, feel one way or another. And some days you feel like you want to be more, I don't know if masculine is the right term, but you want to dress like a boy or you want to dress like a girl. But I think the fact that we can be open, and then the big thing is not letting kids say, hey, he's wearing a dress, just like my wife, who didn't mean anything by it, but she's like, no, he can't wear a dress. I'm like, are you kidding me? Of course he can. But even at the younger ages, is just saying it's okay to express yourself differently. But if you find anything, let me know. Anybody else? Questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I know this is dealing with schools, but a lot of churches. What kind of program that you can bring into churches so that the youth that's in the churches feel that they have a safe zone, that they can come to someone, talk about it? And I'm just saying it because I'm a minister. And God said, we're supposed to love each other. And I mean, that's the key. Love, He didn't say because of race, color, and that. Just love. Treat someone the way you want to be treated. So I think where the churches have failed some of our youth is how do we have them feel accepted when they come to church with their parents? And like you said, some parents don't agree to it, but how do we still make them feel safe in the church zone? And that's what I would like to know how to do.
So, one thing that I know is I was raised Christian, and my wife is not. And I think the biggest thing when I'm like, hey, I think we should go to church. I really like the teachings, and I think, our kids could learn from it, and I think it would be beneficial. And her biggest fear is not being accepted, us not being accepted, which then means our kids aren't being accepted. And so when we're looking for churches, there are churches who say they're affirming. Doesn't mean they agree with it, but they'll recognize it. And the fact that they're affirming means that I feel supported. Does that make sense?
There are some churches I know in Long Beach that have gay ministry. And I knew growing up, there was a church that if you were gay, I went to the church with my friends. And that was where their kids could feel comfortable, like you're saying. And they had everything that a regular church had, but everybody in the church basically was gay or people who accepted gays. But I'm talking about churches that might not accept, like you're saying, but they need a safe zone for the kids that are in, and they can talk to a counselor, talk to somebody in the church that will help them feel safe. How would you go about doing that?
That would be sticky, because you're going to have people who don't agree with that, and everyone on the church board or whoever is like in a higher power would have to be able to be okay with that. I know that one of the churches my dad went to started to be more open, and he left the church. And so, you have to kind of see where that happy medium is to be able to support the kids and at least acknowledge and let them know that it's okay and it's safe for you to identify with who you are. But that would definitely be something you would need to bring, that everyone's on the same page, because you can't say it's open and then someone over here is saying, I don't agree, I don't believe, I don't accept, and then that becomes a target, and then they can feel that. So I would say first thing would be make sure that everyone at the church is open to it, and make sure that they're okay with having a safe space. What does it mean to provide a safe space? It doesn't mean they have to get behind it and have a pride flag at church, but they have to at least be willing to know what safe space means. No, that's the hard one though. As people grow and evolve and churches do the same, I pray that there are more churches that accept and are willing to provide that safe space and still teach a lot of good things. So, thank you. All right. If we are good, I did bring some business cards and I have some stickers, because who doesn't love stickers? Can you tell I have 4-year-olds? They love stickers. They're all over the place. But I do want to thank everyone who is here, and I definitely want to say thank you for getting behind, stopping bullying, because it's not fun. And I want to remind everyone, all kids, LGBTQ or not, everyone needs to feel safe. They need to feel respected. They need that. So thank you for coming and being here. Appreciate you guys. And gals. It was fun. You should all get one. It was a lot of fun.
So I just have some quick announcements before you all get to go. If you have not watched our virtual webinars for whatever reason, you will receive links to them, links to the recordings of them, so you can watch. And tomorrow we will be having our Thursday session, and that will be at 10 a.m. So you can also hop on that Zoom if you would like. I also want to remind you guys that we do have our Choose Kindness background, so if you want to take pictures, go ahead and use it, and please tag us at Anti-Bullying Institute. And then please make sure to visit all our vendor tables and to take as many resources as you can from our table. Feel free to take as many as you can. I know a lot of you have different places you work at, so if you're a counselor, if you're a teacher, or if you're a student and if you're in the ABC club, then go ahead and take all the resources that you need. But thank you to everyone, to our 3 speakers, to all our sponsors, and all of you for being here today. I hope to see you guys
Next year.
Next year, also the rest of this week. So thank you, everyone.